Welcome to the Deep Dive into Agile Marketing Podcast with your host, John Cass. Together, we'll take a closer look at the ins and outs of marketing through an agile lens. You'll learn from interviews with top agile thought leaders and practitioners and gain fresh new insights for your journey. Let's get ready to dive in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive into Agile Marketing with John Cass. I'm your host, John Cass, here in Boston, Massachusetts. Today, I'll be interviewing Seema Sheth-Voss, a local marketer and product marketing leader in the Boston area, and also a member of the Boston Marketing Meetup. Welcome, Seema.
Thank you, John. Thanks so much, and it's great to catch up.
Absolutely. So let's start off by my asking you, how did you actually come to Agile marketing?
So first, really, John, it's your meetup. I was really intrigued with the community, the Agile marketing community, and the simple notion of marketers wanting to make marketing better. That's so profound and just a great way to get involved and jump right in. And second, I would say that I'm an agile marketer really by spirit and principle, not so much the process. So if folks were planning to listen about a process, podcast, you're not in the right spot. But really, my journey in agile began almost 8 years ago. I was leading product marketing at SunGard. We were in the disaster recovery and business continuity space. And, classic, we were trying to just, again, disrupt the market with a modern, classic, next generation product. And we had to provoke some existing beliefs to really launch this new approach. And it was interesting when I was working with the team is I didn't even know that we should call this agile, but that's exactly what we did. I was working with an inside sales team, and I was coaching them on a couple of questions to ask in a call campaign. And we ran this call campaign literally in 3 weeks. It was a series of 3 emails, 2 landing page options, a script, some paid advertising that we ran simultaneously. And we came back and iterated. And when I look back, it was the most successful little campaign we ran. And I see that we actually followed a bunch of the principles that are on the Agile Manifesto. And first, right, it was all about looking at a shorter time scale, not the long pray and spray campaign, and understanding what was happening, right? So this notion of iteration and delivering results quickly was number 1. 2, it's all about the alignment, right? That I have really this partner in crime with me, my salespeople working with me to understand what's working and not working. And that motivation that you can really build on. We were the underdog team, believe it or not, within SunGard and also in the industry. So we had a lot personally kind of riding on us as a team to show that we could deliver. And then finally, right, and this is kind of 101, is keep marketing simple. And that's something that we really took to heart.
So where did this success, you talked a little bit about, the initial start of how you got involved. And I'm sure that motivated you to want to do more. Where did that initial involvement take you next?
Yeah, so my next stint in Agile was completely different, and this was at CA Technologies. And I'll admit, I didn't lead the charge at CA. It was a much bigger organization. We had executive sponsorship, so we could actually bring in Agile coaches and really follow the process and learn the ceremonies. And what was different about CA is that because we were larger, multi-billion dollar software company, multiple products, the campaigns were traditional, long, persistent campaigns. So, a skeptic could say, wait a second, wasn't this just kind of agile fall? And I would say no, because we still got a ton of benefit from the upfront analysis that we did, from the alignment that we set up across marketing disciplines and across the product functions. So that was a big difference. And again, what we noticed was that the people who were getting the better results, that were adopting Agile farther along, they saw a market result in everything, whether that was sales accepted opportunities, their web metrics, and even their competitive win rates.
Well, that's always exciting. I mean, this is all about improving marketing. And if you can show that this process gets better results, that's just amazing. So what are you working on now?
So now I'm at a company called Devo. It's a startup. This is almost a year in now. And it's in the red hot machine data analytics space, which is hyper competitive. And the difference over here in looking at Agile is that we as a team are all fairly new. And we're tackling a lot at once. So for me, it's establishing the marketing function, understanding how we all work together. We need to work really fast, right? But we also need the right level of guardrails and process to really kind of understand and prioritize that not everything is urgent. So that's a big part of, instead of kind of jumping in, we're taking a very deliberate step in understanding, what are our launches, what are our big initiatives, and how can Agile help us over there. I have to give our CMO, Dimitri Vlachos, he's a big supporter. And we're working through, the classic issues of how do we keep to a schedule? What's the launch date? How do we put a commit date out and set expectations? And so that's really kind of the process right now, is Agile in an environment where all of us are new, but we also have to deliver really quickly.
And is it working?
So first, I think what's interesting is we aren't consciously calling our marketing Agile. We're starting to see some early success. I would call it small a Agile, in the sense that we've started to use some of the techniques. So the projects where we're really trying to adopt Agile are the time-bound ones, like product launches, event planning. We just got back from Black Hat. And again, I see this as Agile Light. We set up our tasks and plan in a Monday board. We'll conduct the stand-ups. We'll figure out our blockers, iterate, capture the dependencies, and then just go. So in our first go-arounds, I think it's really helping us think in terms of capacity planning, right? What can we as a team realistically commit to? We have a very, very technical product. The company was founded in Spain, so there's a lot of knowledge transfer. The team, as I said, right, we're all new, so we're kind of still forming on as a team as to what has to happen first. So a classic example, like our first solution sheet took 15 iterations, right? Now with the process behind us, we can plan better. We know that we need an outline. We know how many subject matter experts we need, how many review cycles, you name it.
So what's been the reaction so far within the team and also with stakeholders? You mentioned that you've been able to do a better job of understanding what you need to focus on. What's been the reaction to that?
The reaction really is relief, right? Everyone is coming and saying, wow, this is helping us get organized. We have that North Beacon, and around that, we can set the transparency. We can have better expectation setting and that alignment that's so important.
So can you now say no to ad hoc requests?
I wish we were there. No, we can't. But at the same time, we have a more data-driven, more fact-based conversation that we can have to say, wait a second, our priority is X. This is going to take the team off, and how can we jockey to get it in queue? But we can't say no. No, that's not possible.
So it sounds like in some ways you're still in the early phases. So what have been some of the challenges in getting the team to where you want to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. And for me, really, it's this realization that probably has nothing to do with Agile, but everything to do just, working in business, is that cross-functional communication never ends. It's not just enough for marketing to be agile in its own little world, right? We're the central hub. We have handoffs with everyone else, product, operations, sales, and everyone needs to be agile together, and we're not there. Actually, I don't know of any company that's completely agile across all functions. The second challenge, and it's kind of related to this notion of handoff and being a hub, is expectation setting, right? And getting to the same understanding of what done means. And this is really, really important with senior executives and sales. So when you're looking at a task, do you say you're done at a task level, or do you say you're done in the sense of business impact? And this is where I feel that agile marketing is really different than it is in software development. When you put out a production release or a new dashboard, you say you're done. But say it's something like sales enablement, which is a very holistic business practice. Does marketing say that, hey, we're done because we rolled out a new sales tool and we posted it? Or do we say it's done when the entire team is effective in using that sales tool, or they use it in a deal, right? So this notion of done and how you actually scope, back to capacity planning, is really important. And I think this is something that we're still working through.
Well, I suppose any project's iterative, but isn't that one of the ways that you can understand whether you're done? We're done within this time frame. It's sort of like a persona or something. I think we all understand it's never completed, but that part of it is done. So what's next for you in this agile journey? Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I think the exciting thing is that really agile at its core is about continuous improvement and business impact. I'd want to at some point go get certified. But in the meanwhile, right, my advice to my team is, let's be positive. I want to be the coach. I want to be the cheerleader. And it's really important to step back and celebrate those little wins. It's important to highlight even the little stuff, right? That the same deliverable took a lot fewer meetings, or we all rallied together and worked together. So I think that's just, when we do our retrospectives, we just did one after, a major event we did, and getting the team together on and just talking honestly about what worked and what didn't work, and patting each other on the back. It's so important, and you sometimes take that for granted. But having that awareness and having that team awareness is really, really important. And then again, I think in just terms of, again, how do we all get better? How do we make agile about executive alignment? Executives don't really need to know what's under the covers about the process, but they care about the business impact and results. And so the way I, look at this is agile really is a gift to us as a team, because it gives us process, it gives you rigor, it gives you accountability, and how we all work together. But then how do you really sort of take that and then deliver the success in the language of the business, right? Whether that's a learning, a metric, a KPI from a successful launch, and share that back to your team, to your boss and the CEO in a language that they really care about.
Well, that's great. Seema, thank you so much for joining me today on the deep dive into agile marketing. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. And I can't wait to hear the others on this series. And we absolutely have to get our live meetup back on track sometime in 2020, if not this year. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us on the deep dive into agile marketing with John Cass, and we'll see you next time. And thanks again to Seema Sheth-Voss for joining us today. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Deep Dive into Agile Marketing Podcast. Be sure and subscribe to our show and leave a review to let us know what you thought of today's episode. And if you like what you heard and want to learn more, visit www.businessagility.institute.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.